So I thought I'd share something with you today. It's a journey of mine that I've been going on. I've just kept it to myself, but I think it does work as information within relationships and how it's affected me throughout my life and where I am today and where I want to go in the future. So it wasn't at the time, but I'm now described as neurodivergent or neurodiverse, whichever we want to use. I get confused with these new terms nowadays. But I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was about 13 years old. And that became my identity because pre-digital, everything in the world seemed so slow and so effortful for me. I would have to ask people to help me. Could you help me with the spelling? Could you look at my paper? I remember crying over my maths, just like the tension of just not knowing, not understanding. Why won't things hold together? Why does everybody else seem to hold together? I don't. Hiding when we had to read. It's like when out loud in class, trying to, there's 10 people here. Let me see, that's 10 pages. Let me try and figure out if I can get to there. But by the time I got to my space, I was in so much anxiety. The whole thing was a mess and just compounded itself. So the word world was very difficult for me. Libraries were a pain. I didn't even know what the first letter started with. So the energy it took, the amount of spoons, emotional spoons I had to use just to get the first letter just meant this exhaustion sometimes to get to a spelling test, 0. Wrong, my books were covered in red. So there was a real sense of a struggle with the word world. And then I found the arts and dance, and I just left that world. And for 25 years, I played in the world that was me. And I loved that career, and there was no struggle there. Then when I left, I was having difficulties in my relationship. So my relationship was coming to an end, and we went to marriage counselling to see if we could fix a relationship. And the therapist there diagnosed me with ADD. And I was like, and the description was, that's not a problem. I focus in on stuff and I get very good at stuff, and that works very well within the arts. It's actually one of the gifts. So I didn't really pay much attention to it at that time. And it really felt like it was a whole lot of neurotypicals labeling another group of people. You're deficient, you're not good enough, you don't fit in the norm. So I didn't pay much attention really. But what happened was later on, when the digital world came in, things started to change. Google came in, YouTube came in. And the difficulty I had with gathering information, that block disappeared for me. And I could access information at the speed that my brain wanted to work at. I was like, wow, now I could do academic studies. And now I could write the books that I wanted to write. It was just like, it was a moment of liberation for me when the world went digital. And then AI came in. And what AI did for me was immense. I would struggle. I would have meltdowns because of forms and online structures, and probably about twice a month I would have freeze or emotionally locked down because of words. AI came in and just took that away. I did my own tax report. I was able to answer certain forms. When I can't understand something, I get to break it down so I can understand. I had access now to everything. And dyslexia, as long as I'm online, if it goes offline, then I'm back to where I was. But as long as I'm online, it's gone. I don't suffer. The tools there now to support this difference has been immense. But what it did was also emphasize something else, because the word world wasn't such a struggle anymore, but I was still struggling. And that's when I started to look into ADD a little bit more. What is this? How does it affect myself? And my resistance is still there, as in a sense of I look at how medicine changes over every 50 years and diagnoses change, and they have their different political views on what they should be, and then you have financial gains that come into medicine, and there's all this pulling and pushing, and then everything's pathological, and then it's not, and then it was trying to get your own identity, and then you're trying to move away from and I'm just like, oh, this is just where it is right now. So I have found that there's something that happens that affects my relationships. I lock in, which I found out has got a term, monotropic tendencies, to lock in where I can only focus on one thing. So if I'm in a relationship and somebody wants to go for a walk in the park and I'm locked in, it's very difficult for me to get out and go for the walk. And if I go for the walk, my head is still looping over because I haven't completed it. It's like I have to complete the chore and then everything just goes, whoa. So that causes frictions in a relationship that I need to balance off and be able to communicate. And at the moment, I'm very lucky to be in a relationship that I'm able to do that. But it's also other relationships I find that when things get emotionally tense in a relationship, I'm unable to access my needs. And then suddenly I may talk to somebody and I have a realization, it activates and I'm in it. And I'm like, how do I get out of this? And then that becomes anxious. So I'm starting to learn that may not be the dyslexia. This may be the ADD, which is no longer ADD, just like I was saying, labels change. Now it's ADHD. I don't really fit into ADHD for me, because socially ADHD has been very much hyperactivity, that impulse. I don't have that impulse. It's like one ADHD person says, as long as the plates are spinning, I'm okay, but when they drop, then everything collapses. I don't resonate with that. It's like, for me, I would be taking one plate, I would be baking it from clay, coming out, and then painting it, and then putting it up as a piece of artwork. And that's all I would focus on, is getting that plate to its finishing point. So I don't identify with it, but then there's a part which is the inattentive ADHD. But just listen to those words. Attention deficit disorder, inattentive. It's all you are lack of, you are less than. So I'm not emotionally attaching my way. I can see the person, oh yes, this person is a deficit, they are less than, I can imagine them putting this together. I'm just like, no, I just have a different way of working in society. And if this planet had decided to focus on the arts, there would be classes for people who needed to be with words, and they would be getting the support because they may not find dancing very comfortable, or painting, or being creative, so they might have to go to special classes or get funding to support them so that they could focus in this dance world or creative world if the planet chose to go in that direction. But that's not the case, and this is the world that I'm in. So me going for a diagnosis of ADHD is more about understanding how I fit within this system, but also giving me language in some of the places where it does put emotional tension in the relationship. So that's what I've decided to do. I'm going to investigate this, see what it means, and I thought I'd tape it so I can share this with you. So if anybody else is curious on this journey, and I share something that is interesting for them, it might help them find their own direction and in their relationships, and how it affects how they communicate with others. So I'm going to do that, and if that's interesting for you and you want to learn more, just follow me along, and we'll see how it goes.